So, good morning to you, A. And I would like to begin the typing session the same way that I always do, which is to ask you how many of my typing sessions have you watched before?
About two or three. Yeah.
Okay. Um, well, let's start where I often do start, which is with SI. And let me sort of have you tell me a story about your yesterday. So what happened yesterday? Articulate the sequence of events that comprised yesterday.
Uh, I think I wake up pretty late, about 12 o'clock in the noon. Then I cook two eggs with some leftover meat. Yeah.
What kind of eggs were they?
uh, Duck egg.
Duck eggs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And after eating that, I go to the school for some study, and then uh, go home pretty late and sleep. Yeah,
What did you
I think
study?
that.
What did you study at the school?
I am reading some research paper to write a literature survey.
Okay, so you're doing like literature interp. Okay,
Can you ask again? Sorry.
so you're interpreting literature.
No, no. It's like research. So it has literature survey. It's like what can I say? Study about the machine learning or things in the computer. They write a lot of paper on the science paper, and I need to read that and summarize something.
Okay,
Yeah,
so are you studying computer science?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I see. So when you're talking about the literature, you mean like the scientific literature. You're not referring to, yeah,
Yeah.
not like the Nobel Prize in literature,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Um, so what did you do after when you got home to go to sleep? Did you go to sleep right away, or did you do something between getting home from school and going to sleep?
uh, no, I think I watch some YouTube shorts and then go to sleep. Yeah, and play some mobile games. Yeah.
Okay, when you're lying down in bed and it's time to go to sleep, do you like to have something playing in the background, or do you like to have it
Mm,
quiet?
I think uh, I think I prefer quiet, but I can sleep even if it is noises around. Yeah.
Okay, is that because you think because you grew up in a noisy house or something, or do you think it's just inherent to who you are?
Uh, I don't know, but if I am sleepy, then there is nothing can wake me up. Sometimes even the alarm cannot wake me up, so I tend to oversleep a lot.
Okay, how many hours of sleep do you think you need a night to function well the next day?
I think about 7 to 8 hours.
Okay, do you think you
Yeah.
usually get that?
Yeah, I think I usually get that, and I sometimes I even sleep more than 7 to 8 hours. Uh, I try to rest anytime that I feel tired.
What's your favorite foods?
Uh, it is chicken, especially fried chicken. Yeah, but I am going on the diet now, so I don't eat fried chicken anymore. Yeah.
Okay. Do you always eat breakfast? Never eat breakfast? Or something other than that?
Uh, I try. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sometimes I skip breakfast, but I think I usually eat breakfast because I feel hungry in the morning.
Okay. When you wake up in the morning, can you tell upon waking up whether or not you need more sleep?
Uh, mm, yeah, quite sometimes if I feel uh, I think if I feel very tired when I wake up, I think I will rest more, and if not, I will go straight to school. Yeah, but it rarely happens. I will try to sleep in the bed for some more time.
How can you tell whether you need more sleep or not?
Uh, it is like I have a headache or not. My body feels strong or tired. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. What time is it where you are?
It's 10 p.m.
Okay. Um, so you you've known this was coming up for about 4 or 5 hours, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So once you found out that this was coming up, did you have to adjust anything in your schedule or plan things around this, or did it affect the time in between when you booked it and when we're actually talking?
Yeah. Actually, I am very. I wait for the typing a lot so I can focus to do another thing. So I just playing instead of studying until the typing time comes.
Were you thinking about like what I might ask you and what you might say and things like that?
Uh, no, I never thought that you can ask something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so if you were going to explain to me how to make Vietnamese fried chicken,
Oh,
I want you to give me instructions.
um, I think that I prefer drumsticks, so we need some. I think two drumstick. We will coat it with flour, a little flour.
Only two drumsticks?
Mm.
This is just for me, right?
Yeah, I think if it's with the larger portion, it will come with another instruction. It will come with another time to finish cooking. So yeah, just imagine that there are only two drumsticks. Yeah.
So what makes Vietnamese fried chicken different from American fried chicken?
Uh, actually, I think it is the same.
Okay. All right, cool. Um, do you drink that coffee that goes out of monkeys' butts?
uh,
It's called
ah,
civet.
I know that, but I hate coffee. I know that kind of coffee, but I do not taste coffee because it's very
It's not monkeys though. It's civets.
yeah, yeah.
I
I
don't know why
think
I
it
thought it
is
was monkeys for a second.
uh fox, right? Fox. The
It's
coffee from the fox. Yeah,
yeah.
fox shit.
It's what do you think about that? So you don't like coffee at all, but
Yeah,
have you
because
ever tried that?
it tastes bitter, so I don't like coffee. Yeah, actually, I tried some mm, milk coffee, cappuccino. Yeah.
With the civet poop coffee in it?
No, no, just buying from the grocery store, convenience
You
store.
never tried the civet poop coffee before?
No, I never.
Oh,
I just know that every natural coffee is very bitter, so I will not taste. I will not try.
well, that's why you want the civet to poop it out first. They absorb all the bitterness and they poop out just a nice mellow cup of coffee.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. It makes sense.
Okay, so when you're given an assignment at school, do you want the assignment to be very detailed, telling you every step of the thing you're supposed to do? Or would you prefer to have an open ended assignment that gives you a general goal or project idea, but you are left to figure out how to do it yourself?
Mm, I think that if the assignment has a general idea, I think I will perform better. So yeah, it is because that other student will struggle with assignment that has open ideas.
So you're saying
So
that in
I think
comparison,
yeah,
you'll perform better. Okay, interesting.
yeah.
Um,
I think
okay, let me ask you some TI questions. Can you tell me if all civets poop coffee and
yeah.
some pooped coffee is delicious? Right, let me rephrase
Yeah.
this. I'm on a bad track here. Let me try again.
Okay.
If all civets poop coffee and some things that poop coffee are birds, can we conclude that some civets are birds?
Of course not. Yeah.
Okay. How about this? If no penguins live on palm trees and I
Yeah.
live on a palm tree, can we conclude that I'm not a penguin?
Yeah. You are not a penguin.
Okay. Can you tell me who my mother's, father's, wife's, husband's, only daughter's, husband's son is in relation to me? I can,
It's you. It's you.
yeah, it is me. You're right. You've got very good TI. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about extroverted intuition. So I'm going to come up with an invention, and I want you to come up with some snappy names. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So my invention is it's a statue of a falcon that's designed to like scare birds off. So you put it like on a roof that you don't want the birds to land on. The birds think there's a bird of prey there, so they don't land there, right?
Uh.
Statue of a falcon that that sometimes can will launch itself into the air and parachute down in order
Uh.
to scare birds on the lawn too. But then you got to go outside and pick it up and put it back on the roof. It does it randomly.
Uh. Scare falcon.
Scare
Raining falcon.
scare
Rocket falcon. uh. what's- Uh. Scare bird with a bird.
scare bird
Uh.
with a bird is a good name for that. I like it.
Natural prayer scarer. Hmm. Hmm. Fucking
it
far.
I like the idea of calling it the scarecrow. Whoa! Because it jumps off of your roof.
Yeah, it's scare fucking.
Okay, that's fine. So let me ask you
Ah.
another question. How many different reasons can you think of why it might not be true that Princess Diana is dead? British Princess Di, who
Oh
died alone.
yeah, I know her.
How many reasons different kinds of reasons can you think of why it might be true that she's not dead?
I think she is not there. Yeah, yeah, but uh, yeah, it's very hard because I think uh, she must be very old. So yeah, maybe the government has something to uh protect her in the refrigerator or something, or for all the cooling system. So she will not age. Yeah. It's like in the film I saw that somebody will be kept in the cooling system, so their body will be protect uh from outside, and yeah, and maybe she is not dead, but she just sleeping. Yeah. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, but there's no sign. Yeah.
So so what makes you more angry at yourself when you are when you stub your toe or when you miss an important piece of a puzzle that means you are misled into the wrong answer.
uh, it is both very angry. Yeah. Uh, but I think uh missing the missing a piece of puzzle will make me more angrier because the pain from the toe will come and go quickly, but the disappointment when I can solve a puzzle will be more, yeah, more last, yeah, will last more longer.
Do you think your strategy for sort of writing the book of your own life in your head, do you think your strategy is more do do fewer things but make sure you do every one in a way that really pops? Or do you think it's more a strategy of do more things, strew more seeds and more stuff will grow?
Mm, oh, it's very hard. Can you ask the question again?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Uh,
So, are you somebody who has a basic position that says, when I undertake something, I want to
mm.
make sure I do a great job on it,
Ah.
and it really resonates in my story as another success. And I want to
Oh.
avoid doing things that are going to end in failure. So I'm going to do fewer things and try to do each of them perfectly. Or are you somebody who goes, I know I'm not going to be perfect, so I'm going to do a lot of things and figure that some of them will be pretty damn good and some of them will be crap?
I actually even something that may end with failure, I want to try it once because maybe if I did that, it will not fail. It only fail with each other. So I think I need to try to confirm that it will lead to failure or not. So yeah, so I will not I won't try to be a perfectionist. Yeah. but
Okay.
but yeah,
All right.
sometimes.
Can you explain to me your understanding of the cognitive function extroverted feeling?
uh I think it's something about uh your it is uh I think it is the same with emotion. It is like the static state of your mind when you try to uh push I mean express yourself to to people around you or things around you, and the energy that you receive from the outside to you. I think is it is the 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 emotion that it is affected by outside, not consistently like I think.
Okay. Can you explain to me what you think truth is?
uh Actually, I heard somebody said that there is no truth, there is only a collective rightness. I think so. It is just a lot of people believe something right, so it may become the truth. And yeah, and then yeah, I think it must be that um a large number of people believe in something and it will become the truth. Maybe some other people will find something new that may be the truth, but if he don't l- I- if he can't let other people believe in him, then it is still not the truth. I mean, It's like in the past, no one believes that the Earth cycle, right? Cycle around the sun.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. But even when Copernicus and Galileo try to prove it, but everyone doesn't believe it. So I mean, it is not the truth. It is only the truth when every other people see the explanation and then understand. But by the time pass, they they start to understand the the truth. Yeah, I
But
think
it becomes
the
the truth because it's correct, right? It's like if we just want to define truth as consensus about something, it becomes the
yeah.
truth because it's correct, and then we just push back the question
uh,
of truth to, well, what is correct exactly, you know?
yeah.
But the thing is, I think it's best to think about truth as truth is when we're not in disagreement. So it's like you and I
Ah,
could agree that this is a pack of cigarettes for the sake of argumentation. And then it is
yeah.
true that this is a pack of cigarettes. In other words, neither of us in our conversation are going to dispute that fact. Therefore, it's true. If we think about
Yeah.
truth as a value that we assign things or don't, or by default assume as, like, if I say something you don't challenge it, by default, I'm asserting that it's true, and your lack of challenge is going, I'm not disputing its truth. So it's like the problem with people trying to define truth and understand it is they forget that it's always used by people in a conversation. It doesn't really exist outside of
Ah,
that functionality, right? Unlike validity, which does. So an argument can be true and invalid, you know?
ah, okay. Yeah, I think there is some problem with your internet connection, right?
Not with mine. There may be some problem with your internet connection, but not with mine. I
Uh,
don't think so anyway. I usually
can
have
can
excellent internet. I can refresh. I'm having
yeah,
this
yeah.
conversation fine. Let me refresh.
I see your camera is freezing and has a worse quality, so I think it
Okay,
is
I put my
maybe.
video settings on low low bandwidth.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean it is clearer in the past, but it becomes more blurry and even freezing. So
Um Mobile mode. I could go into mobile mode, limits the stream resolution along with other resource consumption optimization. Let's try that. Reload to update. But Eric, you're not on a mobile phone. That's okay. I'm still using mobile mode. Okay, is that better?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, how are you feeling emotionally right now?
Mm. Uh, I I'm not feeling anything specific, so yeah, it's very hard to explain to express that.
Okay, how do you think I'm feeling emotionally right now?
Uh, I think you feel okay too, right?
Okay. Where would you rather receive help from a partner? Would you rather have a partner who feeds you and reminds you when it's time to go to bed and tells you to put on a jacket when you leave the house? Or would you rather have a partner who who smooths things over for you at parties and makes sure that you're not being perceived as awkward and introduces you to people and generally facilitates your socialization?
I think the first one because I think self improvement is more important than what 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 others see you. Yeah, I think it is not very important, but self dis self discipline is very hard for me. So the first one is very I think it's very important. If there were one.
Okay. How do you feel like you do socially? If you get, do you get in? if you get invited to a party, are you likely to go or likely to not go?
Uh, uh, yeah, I think if it does not bring me anything, yeah. If it's if it is just for fun, I think I won't go because I think there are many things that can entertain,
Hey,
not
hey,
involve.
hey,
Yeah.
hey, listen! It's alphabet night at the discotheque. We're going to boogie down. Don't you want to join us?
No, no.
Okay,
Yeah, but if you are some special people, then I may consider. Yeah, but
special people. Okay.
yeah,
Are you a procrastinator?
yeah, I think so. Oh, it is very hard to overcome the procrastination. So.
Do you have an easier time doing stuff at school than you do at home?
Uh, Actually, I think that uh, I started procrastination from the high school. Before I won't procrastinate in doing anything, but it starts when I'm entering high school, and then it keeps lasting until now. Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say your hobbies are?
Uh, I think listening to the music and uh, read things on the internet. Yeah,
What kind of music do you like?
uh, many things, but I especially like the 80s, the 90s, uh, the diva time, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Celine Dion.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
our music. Yeah,
Do you listen to any Vietnamese music?
yeah, and I like the old time too. Yeah, 2000s, 19s. Yeah, 90s. I can't stand the music nowadays. Yeah.
Okay. So is that because do you think that has to do with you growing up on that music, or did like you hear it as a kid, or when did you discover it, or how did you come about it?
Yeah. Some of the music that I think I had it in mind, and there is some familiar melody in my head, and then when I search the YouTube, I see I accidentally found it again, and then I really become to like it a lot, and then find out more about that genre and become a fan of it. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, you know what I think. I believe the children are our future. Okay. So you like to listen to music. Do you sing along with it?
Yeah, I like it. Actually, uh, when I walk in the outside, I usually sing something uh out loud or just in my mind. Yeah, so I just do not concentrate when walking a lot, just thinking or singing something.
Okay. So can you tell me what things, what subjects or topic areas in school did you find most difficult, and which ones did you find most easy?
uh I think uh, does exercise count? The exercise subject. Yeah, but
Did you find that
I
one
think
difficult or easy?
very difficult because
Or you didn't
I
like
think I have.
PE? Yeah, we call that PE.
Yeah, physical education. Yeah, because I don't think I think my muscle is very weak. Overall, I am very weak, so I never have a high score in PE. Yeah, actually, PE just worsen all my grade. My grade is not bad, but PE just make it very bad.
Did you have do you have wood shop in school?
What? Which shop?
wood shop. It's like they've got power tools, and you cut pieces of wood and you nail them together and you make things out of wood or whatever.
Workshop. It's like playing the Lego, right?
No, it's like you get saws and stuff. Like they have table saws
Ah,
and like impact drill things and various big
no.
power tools, and then you have to build your job this week is to build a box, and here's how to
Ah,
do it. You cut this piece of wood this
I
size, this
think
piece
there
of
is
wood that size.
no there is no subject like that in Vietnam. Yeah.
Okay,
I,
if
I, I saw that on Disney Channel, some film they have that. Yeah,
okay,
but
if they offered that at school, would you expect yourself to do well in that class or poorly?
uh I feel it is very scary because do playing with knife can harm you. So yeah, and the saw I think it's very dangerous. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I I think it's sounding increasingly like you're wise to stay away from power tools. Okay, I think I know what you are, but I'm not 100 billion% sure. So let me ask some more questions here.
Yeah. Okay.
What makes you what makes you disrespect somebody more? Is it what
Uh.
or you just answer it open ended? What makes you disrespect somebody?
Yeah. Uh. Actually, I thought about this before, and then it is very easy to answer because what should I say? Uh, one is that that person do not listen to me when I say things that I know it is right, and two is they try to uh argue with me even if I know that it is right. So if the one condition that they does not listen to me but they do not argue with me, it is okay. If they argue with me but they listen to me, it is okay. But if they do both, I can't stand the person like that. Does not listen to me and argue with me, it is unacceptable. Yeah.
Okay, now I want you to think of a person that's never interacted with you, but that you know about publicly that you don't respect, and explain why you don't respect that person. Some public figure.
Yeah. Some person in Shark Tank. Yeah. it's it just she may have a lot of money, but I feel that she does not know anything. Everything she said is just common knowledge, and I mean, I disrespect people that they don't have their own thinking. They don't have their own thinking. They only copy from each other. They just read out loud from the knowledge from the book that they have read, and they think that will be the truth, the right knowledge. But I think that you must process every knowledge that you have read, and to make it become yours. I mean, it's like talking knowledge by your own experience, by your own voice, not just reading out loud something you remember. Yeah.
When do you feel most satisfied with yourself? When you're like, yeah, you killed it.
Uh,
Or you know that meme with that baby who's
I know.
yeah,
I
like
understand.
that. When do you feel triumph, baby?
I think I only like that when I feel that everything is is perfect. It's like not just one milestone one time. It's just when I look back, I feel that maybe for 5 years, for 7 years, I always be at my best. I mean that I am healthy. I have good grade. I can solve every problem, every argument, and yeah, I think I only think I kill it when it is consistently a pattern that I kill every time I do things. I maybe fail, but uh, I mean the success must be consistent, not just just one, yeah, just one little thing.
And what kind of mess ups make you go say to yourself, "Oh, it's okay, A. Everybody makes mistakes. Don't worry about it. You'll be okay."
Uh, uh, it is just I think it is when I try to do things involving talking to other people, like being a salesman, or just try to persuade somebody, try to what should I say? Uh, convince someone. Yeah, it usually fails, so I think it is okay. I must accept that I am not very good at talking to people. So yeah.
Okay. So you have you have no problem expressing or conveying why it is you're right, but you have some problem getting the other people to agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think you're an INTP.
Uh,
I, the the only other thing that really jumps out to me as possible or plausible would be INFP with very strong TI. I'm not very
uh,
good at identifying FI, but you don't seem like an INFP in the sense like I don't feel like I'm being supervised by you. You don't seem like an INFP in the sense that it makes you mad when people are illogical. So, in those regards, I'm thinking INTP is much more likely because if you were an INFP, you'd be an INFP with very quick, good TI. And you can see how it's not a language barrier. Like you were able to do that long genealogy problem even though English is not your first language, right?
yeah.
You had no problems. And when I asked the sum all questions, you have no problems answering them, even though English is not your first language. So when I get
Yeah.
somebody from another country who struggles with the TI questions and then says, well, it's because English isn't my first language, that's not why. Okay, just to make that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, but I do not know, but after watching some of the typings, I have a theory that maybe agents have better in Allegra or something about logic, because maybe they force students to do that. So
Well, I mean, I
yeah.
don't doubt that there are certain skills that will be slightly better among populations where those skills are highly stressed,
Yeah.
right? But it doesn't change the fact that if you're not an SI person and TI, you're not going to get that genealogy question without me repeating it.
Uh,
So, in other words, even an ISTP probably is going to need me to repeat it once, and they go TI Dom as well. It takes robust SI, third slot in this case, robust enough to keep track of those things anyway,
oh,
because INTPs direct all their SI energies towards just remembering low resolution data.
oh,
So
yeah.
it's like it's quite strong at that. It may not remember, it may not do what it's sort of inherently designed to do, which is remember the low resolution impressions of experience. But I mean, the high resolution impressions of experience. Instead, SI for INTP picks up only the low resolution bits, the things that are easy to
Yeah,
parse out.
I
Yeah,
understand.
I think I said it backwards the first time. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So that makes sense that you're an INTP. Everything I've heard so far seems to make sense. Even though you don't speak English well, you still rambled on with the extroverted intuition stuff, trying lots of different ideas, displaying what it's like to just toss out as a tool function extroverted intuition pretty successfully. I think. What did you think you were coming into the typing?
Yeah, I think I want to confirm it because many people said that I am an INTJ or ISTP. So
No,
yeah,
you're an
I don't.
INTP. You're an
Yeah.
INTP. I can tell by your relationship with argumentation, the way you And the way you talk about it specifically as you're fine with people not listening to you and you making your arguments because you're still getting that stuff out there on the external field, sort of the flow. You're fine with people listening to you and you making your arguments and then arguing with you, but you can't stand it when people don't listen to you and still want to argue with you after you've made your arguments. In other words, you
Yeah.
expect everybody to be responsive, and that's the fundamental quality of TI, and especially TINE is I expect you to respond to what I've said, and simply talking in return, taking your turn to talk, is not responding necessarily to what I said at all. So
Oh.
it's like if somebody wants to critique me, as they often do in comments, I got a comment the other day after I made this video in which I explained things. It said in the first bit of the comment, it said, Annie is not putting uh, information on the external metaphysical field, and you can't define it as such. So it just made that statement, okay? Now, the thing
Yeah.
is, at the end of that video that this was a comment on, I stressed, I was like, now listen, you know, how we want to map it versus how we want to simulate it is a little bit different. We can have a more
Mm.
robust map than we can a simulation because a simulation is going to have to break down into binaries. But the thing is, they just ignored that, right? They didn't respond to it. So that pisses me off too. It's like, just if you're going to say something to argue against me, respond to something I actually said. Don't just start spewing your bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, just some people just try to understand them, understand what I said in their own way, and and then argue with me by their knowledge. So it just doesn't matter. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't think.
and mm,
Okay, you're not an INTJ in part because of what just happened right there. When I started talking over you, even though you started talking first, you pulled back and gave way for me. That's indication of FE better than seventh, probably. It's not determinate, but it's pretty determinate. INTJs don't let you interrupt them because once they start saying something, they have a single complete idea in their head and they want to get the whole thing out.
mm, it is right that because I heard somebody said that I can be TI dom because every TI dom is very obstinate. Yeah, so
Well, I mean, INTPs are extra pedantic, okay? Whereas ISTPs are typically TI dicks.
uh,
So it's like INTPs are likely to go, well, actually, when you factor in meow, 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 we could interpret it like this or like this or like this or like this. Whereas ISTPs are more like, but that's counterfactual. You're wrong.
uh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I don't know why the most TI dom is so different. So that's why I still have some. I mean,
What do you mean different? What? So you don't think you're stubborn? You say TI DOMs are stubborn, but you don't think you are?
uh, actually, I think that people around me does not say that do not say that I am stubborn. So,
Well, that's because you're not telling them the truth about what you think and feel. What you really
uh,
think is that they're idiots and they're driving you crazy by not acknowledging your correctness. The fact that you don't force that argument to continue beyond where people want it to doesn't mean you're not stubborn. It means you're not
uh,
you're not publicly stubborn.
yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Now,
Mm.
I'm publicly stubborn because I'm an ENTP. INTPs are not necessarily publicly stubborn. They don't necessarily want to get into a battle, right? It's too much FE. Like you were saying, you say to yourself, it's okay, it doesn't really matter, it's fine. If you can't convince other people because you're used to them relying on things other than logic to justify their conclusions.
Uh, yeah, but yeah, right. Yeah, it's very helpless to convince. So
Yeah,
just I need to accept it.
and the most frustrating thing is this: everybody uses language. They expect you to hear their words and think they mean things and be responsive to them. But in
uh,
return, they don't hear your words and they aren't responsive to your words. So it's like there's a failure to have reciprocal burdens. It's like when people don't want to argue with logic, but they want to argue, they're missing the point. It's like saying, I want to play football, but on a basketball court and with a basketball. It's like you can't do it like that. If you want to argue with me, then you're gonna have to use logic. Otherwise, you're just spewing bullshit onto everybody's faces.
uh,
You know. So, what other reservations do you have about INTP? I will tell you this right now that INTPs and INFPs alike run the risk of spending several years going back and forth about what they are if they think I'm either this or that. You seem
um,
pretty confident about being INTP, but even you say, however, this seems to run contrary to my understanding of the type, and you'll continue doing that with any tool. You don't value introverted intuition, the single answer, as a real goal in itself. It's not going to give you a lot of
uh,
satisfaction to settle down on the point because then you can't use that truth any new ways.
yeah, yeah. It's true that yeah, sometimes I don't know if my belief is firm, so I need to check it again and again. And yeah, I mean, some people just said that I just said that MBTI is not very useful. It is just a tool. It is not very important, but I can't get it out of my mind. Yeah, so
I
I
mean,
take time with that.
even if you think nothing else about it, it affords us a map or a lexicon of words that we can use to talk about attention that we didn't have before. And it's definitely referencing things that are worth talking about, and we didn't have any means of talking about them without cognitive function. So if I want to talk about how you're using a interested calculus or you're using a disinterested calculus and I use an interested calculus and stuff like that, in a previous incarnation without this map, we had to talk about all those concepts independently without a single frame that brought them all together. Cognitive
Mhm.
functions gives us that and makes us much more robust in our analysis of how humans be than we could be without it. You know?
Uh, so do you think that any is like burst of idea in your head? Because there are many people claim that they I am not any because I am very pragmatic. I mean I think they think any need to daydream a lot and they always think about something that is not real or just like living in a different world. So I don't understand. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it is clearly not me.
Okay, well, what I would say about extroverted intuition in the second slot is foremost how you act as a subject. So when people say things, you go, well, here's other possibilities that might counterfeit what you're saying.
Ah,
That's just how you approach everything in life. When you encounter singularities, you say, here are other interpretations.
oh, yeah.
Now, that's as a subject, okay? As an agent, it's not very important to you in your own life. So, in other words, you don't predicate your own worth on being creative and clever.
Mm,
It's just instrumental for you. So, when you're at home in your own private time, you're not probably spending a bunch of NE. You're taking in media, consuming it, enjoying it, whatever, having experiences with things that are gratifying in some way, and not necessarily ideating in your own private time
mm,
as much as say an ENTP would. And then the third way is as an object, which is to say you're perfectly comfortable being an object of somebody else's extroverted intuition because that goes along with tool function as well. It's like subject object is fine, agent's a little more tricky. So what that means is you'll encounter these ideas that I'm saying and be comfortable with checking them to see if they're lacking in various perspectives. You'll be comfortable being the evaluator of the NE. as much as you will be comfortable being the producer of the NE. But you won't be comfortable applying its values to your own life.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So any dom will uh
Apply those
uh
values to their own life. Right. So
yeah.
it's like my identity, my self worth, and self concept is very heavily linked in to my creative output.
Oh,
Is why I make so many videos, right?
yeah.
But your sense of self worth is more linked to your not being wrong, whereas I'm much more
Mm.
comfortable being wrong. I expect it as part of the process of me getting to being right because I've got TI as a tool, not as a dominant function. And you're much more also concerned with your comfort as a self, which is to say, you want your book of self that you're writing to be filled with gems in your crown and
Oh.
no turds in the crown, just gems, right? And additionally, you'll feel good and glad and happy with yourself when you take good care of yourself, like feed yourself well, get enough sleep, make sure you pee before you have to pop, you know, and eat meals regularly. When you successfully manage your SI like that and get yourself like if you were going to be happy with yourself right now, before you sat down here, you would have gotten yourself a cup of your favorite beverage. And like if you smoked, you'd get your cigarettes ready and you'd be like, I'm
Ah,
really digging this now because I got my SI experiential knowledge component going
yeah.
along with the talking part. That's gratifying for you. So it's like
Mm.
those two things being correct and it being experientially comfortable, and that means including your memories or your stories about yourself. So like we all
Yes.
have moments for we remember where we cringe, like we get the shame shivers. I remember when I did that thing or said that thing, and I was like, "Oh no, that's a horrible memory," right? INTP
Yeah.
wants to have as few of those as possible.
Ah, yeah. What about introvert intuition? How do you spot that?
It's hard to test directly. Okay, so
Oh.
I mean, the thing is, like, you'd probably do well on any introverted intuition test I give you anyway with six slot and being an INTP. You're the thing is, introverted intuition is a communication function, and your first
Oh.
two functions are also communication functions. So, in other words, you have a more robust natural relationship with your six slot function than you do with your third.
Ah.
In contrast to me, I've got FE third, which is another communication function, and TE6. So I have a much more robust relationship with my third slot FE and a much weaker relationship with my six slot TE.
Ah.
Because your six slot is consistent with your first two functions, and my six slot is inconsistent with it.
Ah.
So in that regard, I've sometimes called INTPs double knowers because you show as a subject all this NI. Well, here's the truth that you're neglecting. If somebody comes to you with a problem, describes their problem, they're doing the NE stuff themselves, you'll respond with
Oh.
subject NI. Here's a singular answer.
Ah.
But for your own life and your own private time, you're really operant via the same modality as me, which is you have examples of things. You think, might this be representative of a pattern or consistent with this pattern? And then you check it. And then when you're talking about it, you talk about the idea first, and then you present the
Mm.
example to exemplify things. But really, the way it came about first was you noted the example, and then it occurred to you, oh, I wonder if this is applied to this pattern.
Do you have any problem with NI dom, NI dominant?
Do I?
Because
Do you have problems with them? Well, yeah,
yeah, because
yeah, you would because six slot is countervalued. So in other words,
ah.
you don't like NI when other people do it. You expect the world to demand it of you. Like, okay, when people ask me questions and expect me to do work and stuff, I'm gonna have to give them concise, singular answers that have clarity. But you don't like it when other people do it because to you they are necessarily trying to shut down your NE. They're saying, well, here's a single answer. We don't need to discuss this further. Here's a single
Yeah.
most relevant thing. And you're saying, but you're not factoring in yeah, yeah, yeah. You want to use your tool function in a public setting. So when somebody else is using NI in a public setting, it's running directly afoul of your NE. You're saying, no, 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 more possibilities. And they're saying, no, no, no more possibilities.
Ooh. And they can't even explain why they come with a singular idea. So
Yeah, well,
yeah.
it depends. You know, some NI is more reducibly justifiable than others.
Ah, so it is still that I can be an INFP, right? Or
I mean, I really don't think you are an INFP. I haven't felt
uh,
supervised by you. I feel like even though you know your English is less than fluent, that you and I talk very comfortably like to one another, like two Alpha Quadrant people do. Rather than if you were an INFP, you'd make me nervous, and you don't make me nervous. Now
oh,
that's not a good reason to justify it because it's so linked
yeah,
to my personal subjective experience. But it's
uh,
nevertheless if you trust my experience and having done this a bunch of times is a good reason for something. The fact is,
yeah,
I do have this experience with INFPs. Usually, they make me nervous, and you don't make me nervous. I feel comfortable talking to you. I feel like you understand what I'm saying, even though English is not your first language, and I talk with a lot of
yeah.
fancy words.
Ah. Ooh. INFP usually. Uh, I don't know why, but I mean that people that claim us INFP usually argue with me. So yeah, that's why I don't think that I am an INFP. But
I don't
I
think you
don't
are
know
either.
if
No,
if people with the same type tend to I mean clash with each other, argue with each other.
well, I mean, it depends. But the thing to note is this: you're definitely not an INFP. You're definitely an
Yeah.
INTP. Okay, and additionally, I don't have a polar test for SE. Now, everything you said
Uh,
sounds exactly like SE polar as far as self-reporting, but I don't have a skills test I can do for SE. I probably could come up with one if I was in the physical room with a person every time, right? So I'd say,
uh,
here, try to use this power tool, and I'd be able to say, okay, you're SE polar. Or
oh,
try to follow this set of instructions that you've never done before. The steps of it. Like I saw an INXP at the Subway sandwich shop that was making my sandwich was clearly new there and
yeah.
and just was so clumsy in the pushing of the bread down and everything. Everything was so like blah blah. It's like, oh man, you really don't do smoothly until you've done it a bunch of times and has the SI in place. So you get some
Ah,
muscle memory, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so the thing is, since I can't test definitively for a polar, I can't tell you that like I can guarantee you're an INTP in the same way that I could if, for example, you had tested SI polar and you were an ENTJ. Their SI polar is so remarkably evident, and their not lack of FE Dom is evident that I can say you are 100 billion% right, because the skills test is so definitive in that instance. There's not a skills
Yeah,
test that's quite as definitive. However, I would say this: your TI answers were textbook TI1, SI3, INTP. I didn't test a whole bunch of it because there wasn't much
yeah,
need to. It was obvious right away that
yeah,
you had excellent TI and front stack and probably Dom. So the fact that you're not an extrovert, when I ask you questions trying to determine if you're an extrovert or an introvert, all your answers were INTP, not ENTP. So I asked
yeah,
you a lot of questions like try to distinguish whether you might be an ENTP or an INTP. They all landed on the introvert side of things.
yeah,
So also your countervaluing of NI, your approach to NE as a tool function, everything is consistent with INTP. So it's
yeah.
like there's
I
plenty of reason to
understand.
say it's 100% true, but unlike something that has a ungameable skills test, I can't lock it down as solidly because it's INTP. It just means there's a little bit of wiggle room necessarily because I don't have that those tests to lock it down.
Uh, can I ask some outside question? Because
Sure, sure.
uh, I think that you have experience with typing uh younger people, right? about below 18.
Yeah.
Do you think that uh, data is correct? Because I think it is very ambiguous, right?
I mean, yeah, I type people as young as like fourth grade, maybe a couple third graders. You can tell people's type at that age very, very easily. They're very easy to type because they're not gaming anything at all. They don't know anything about cognitive functions. They don't even know what I'm doing when I'm asking these questions until after I'm
Uh,
done, And even little kids, it's like Chloe, who's an ISTP. I started working with her when she was, I think she was still in fourth grade when I first started working with her, and it was
mm,
obvious her TI was lightning fast even then. She's now in
mm,
seventh grade, and I've actually started doing the formal logic curriculum of like a college logic class, which is all the rules of inference, rules of replacement, all the proofs, and going to quantification theory. She's picking it up lightning fast. She's in seventh grade. It's like the attentional manners that link to skills link to it at a very young age, and it's very
yeah.
testable. So yeah, I think probably people are born their type, but I don't really know exactly. It could come
Mm,
about very young, but I think it comes about very young.
uh. What about meeting the unhealthy type? Like I heard that you type some YouTuber ENTJ and then she claimed to be ESFP, right? I don't know her name.
She was right, Amy.
Ah,
And she
yeah.
was right because she went back after I had tested her, and I didn't push on her TI very much because people who are TI polar don't like you revealing how incredibly bad they are at those things because
Uh,
people see them as basically like intelligence test questions. So it makes them feel like they look dumb, right? So I didn't really push that hard on the TI polar. But Amy has enough self realization to have come back to me and said, you know what, Eric, as far as I can tell, I test TI polar on your questions. So if you're right about this, then I should be an ESFP or something, right? And I retested her, and she was right. She was an ESFP. And that was my FE getting in the way of typing her correctly in part, but also it was her great NI. When I tested her with the rat test, which at the time I thought was a pretty solid NI test, I no longer think that. It's very hit and miss. But her scores on the rat test were unbelievable. She got like everything instantly, all these
uh,
NI kind of questions. So I thought, okay, NI that's too good for fourth. Except of course, all I was asking her to do was demonstrate it as a subject and
yeah.
in a very controlled setting. And then the thing is, I didn't push nearly as hard on her TI. So I basically said, well, your NI is so good,
Ah.
you must be tool function. You're not TI front stack, obviously. You must be ENTJ or something. But of course, that was me ignoring my rule, which is we rely on the things that are certain first, which is TI polar
Ah.
is TI
Yeah.
polar. TI
Yeah, yeah,
polar
yeah.
looks like TI polar. You go, who's my mom's dad's sister? They go, family? It's like that's TI polar. And it's determinate. And so, it's like
Yeah.
that was me letting FE get in the way and not wanting to hammer hard enough to determine for sure where her TI was.
Ah, yeah, I understand the situation. Yeah.
But I'm also, I'm wrong sometimes. I'm not wrong this time. This time I'm very right. But like
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes it's a little more tricky. I thought Rachel, my wife, girlfriend, whatever you want to call her,
Uh,
was an ENFJ at first, and after I lived with her for a few weeks, it was obvious she was no extrovert.
yeah. Because I think that Ami is Asian, and in Asian school they teach math a lot. They force people to study math a lot. So I think maybe that's why the T will be stronger.
Okay, but
Yeah.
math and TI questions are not the same thing. I'm asking verbal reasoning questions that don't have any numbers in them, and
Ah, yeah, yeah, but the type of math in Asian is like the logic, the trick question. Yeah, I think it's something alike than your question. Yeah.
Okay, but
So.
even if you were super trained in it, okay, even if you're super trained in it, but you're not a TI front stack person, you're gonna bust out a piece of paper and figure it out like that. Okay,
Mm,
you'll have some sort of strategy or heuristic that you use when you're facing these kind of problems. Like
Ah,
when I taught non-TI people, along with TI people, how to solve deductive reasoning problems, I would say first identify the kind of problem it is. I give them a TE set of instructions. First, identify the kind of problem it is. This is a process of elimination problem. So then you make a process of elimination grid and you put meow, 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 meow here. So I showed them how
ah,
to mechanically do it without having to do the reasoning in their head.
yeah. I
And
I use Note a lot for remember things too, so I think it's linked with SI, right?
yeah, I mean that's perfectly normal. I mean, if you have a lot of ideas and you're generating a lot of ideas as you move through life, then it's only natural that you're going to have to incorporate some writing of things down, either on paper or digitally or whatever. You're going to have to delegate out keeping track of what your ideas are to something else, because
Oh,
even INTPs with SI in the third can't keep all that ideation exclusively in their head. They've got to make some notes outside of themselves. So they go, remember the architecture's like this, and then kind of draw it out and
oh.
sketch it out, and then they can do a lot of the TI parsing within that larger frame within their head. But then they got to make some more notes, you know.
Ah, yeah, you are an ENTP, so I think you procrastinate a lot too, right?
I do procrastinate a lot. Um,
And how can you overcome that?
oh, I don't know how to tell you how to overcome your polar. The thing about your
uh,
polar is your experience SE as an object, and that's it. SE is a very subject function. You're supposed to do shit, but that's not how you experience it. Or if you think about it as an agent function, it's about knowing things like, you know what, I better do this right now so I can get it off my plate and I won't have to think about it anymore. Like
yeah,
like knowing things like that, right? Well, SE polar doesn't know that. They don't get that thing and remind themselves of it periodically. Like I sometimes say, Eric, just do it right now, or you're gonna have a problem with it later. INTPs don't get that thing, and then they also don't get that they're supposed to do things as a person moving through the world with their SE. In other words, they're supposed to set up a sequence of tasks, events, occurrences, and then follow through and meet all of those, right? But
yeah,
but but INFP is really struggles because what they would like to do is eliminate that. They want to not have tasks and meow to do. They know they have
oh,
to, so they have some and they do follow through on them, and they struggle with that following through continually because their polar is I don't want to have any tasks to do. I don't want to have any
yeah,
appointments to make. I want to be free
yeah.
to muse.
That's right. Uh, yeah, I think it is undeniable that I am an INTP.
I agree with you. Okay, so I'm going to end this recording now. Are you okay with me publishing this?
Yeah, it's okay.
All right, thanks. Cool. I'll publish it shortly then. And thank you for watching at home. And if you disagree, you can say so in the comments. But I don't think anybody's going to disagree about this one.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's pretty accurate. So, yeah.
All right, cool.